stay till the end, because what arrived on my daughter's wedding day shocked everyone, including her. I bought my daughter a penthouse. As her wedding gift, I covered the venue cost. I paid for every flower. I handled the catering. I purchased her wedding dress. I wanted her day to be perfect. She was my only child, and I wanted her to feel loved. The night before her wedding, she called me. Her voice sounded unusually firm. "Mom, one more thing," she said. I paused, waiting. "Don't bring your old friends tomorrow." Her words hit me like a punch. "They don't match the luxury theme," she added. I stayed silent for a moment. I could hear my own heartbeat. My friends had supported me for decades. They helped me raise her. They've been in every chapter of my life, but she didn't want them there. Not because of space, not because of drama, but because of appearance. I swallowed my pain, and I simply said, "Okay." She didn't hear the crack in my voice. She didn't notice the silence that followed. "Great! See you tomorrow," she said happily. The call ended. I sat alone on my couch. The lights felt dimmer than usual. My heart felt heavy. I thought of my friends. I thought of their sacrifices, their kindness, their loyalty, and how many times they babysat her for free. She once loved them. She once hugged them tightly. But now they were not luxury enough. I wiped a tear. I stood up slowly. I went to my room. I took out the wedding envelope I had prepared. Inside was an important document. A document she didn't know existed. I placed it on my dresser. I stared at it for a long time. I realized something big. Tomorrow wouldn't just be her wedding day. It would also be a lesson. A lesson about respect and gratitude. I slept with a quiet decision in my heart. The next morning, the sun rose beautifully. Guests were arriving at the venue. The decorations looked stunning. The flowers filled the air with fragrance. The music softly played in the background. Everyone admired the luxury setup. I wore a simple dress, not too fancy. Not too plain, just enough for a mother's presence. People greeted me warmly. I smiled gently, but inside, I held a storm. My daughter walked out of her dressing room. She looked breathtaking. The gown sparkled. Her makeup was flawless. She truly looked like a bride from a magazine. She hugged her bridesmaids. She posed for photos. She barely noticed me standing there. Finally, her eyes met mine. "Mom, you look nice," she said politely. Just politely, not lovingly, not warmly. She seemed more focused on the camera angles. I forced a smile. I nodded. The ceremony began. The guests took their seats. The music started. The doors opened. She began walking down the aisle. Everyone stood up. Cameras flashed. People whispered compliments. She walked with elegance. She looked proud. She believed everything was perfect. She believed the day was all about her. She believed she had complete control. But she didn't know what was coming. Halfway down the aisle, a delivery man entered. The guests turned to look. He held a bright envelope and a sealed document tube. People murmured in confusion. The wedding music softened. The bride slowed down. Her smile faded slightly. The delivery man walked straight toward me. "Ma'am, your urgent delivery," he said. I nodded and accepted it. My daughter looked shocked. She whispered, "Mom, what is that?" I didn't answer. I opened the envelope calmly. All eyes were on me. The guests leaned forward. The groom looked confused. The priest paused, unsure. My daughter looked pale. Her hands trembled. I pulled out the document, and I held it up. It was the ownership paper of the penthouse. The same penthouse she bragged about. The same penthouse she thought she already owned. The whispers grew louder. She stared at me, speechless. "Mom, what are you doing?" she asked quietly. I took a deep breath. I looked at her gently, and I began to speak. "I wanted to give you everything. I wanted your day to be beautiful. But yesterday, when you asked me not to bring my old friends, you showed me something I never wanted to see." Her lips tightened. She looked around nervously. People watched carefully. I continued. "You forgot who raised you. You forgot who supported us. You forgot the people who stood by us when we had nothing. She swallowed hard. Tears gathered in her eyes. But I wasn't cruel. I wasn't angry. I was simply truthful. I held up the document again. This penthouse was meant to be your future, I said, but a future built on disrespect can break. My voice remained calm. My heart, however, ached. She shook her head slowly. Mom, please don't do this. The groom stepped forward slightly. The guests whispered louder. I walked toward her. The aisle felt endless. Her tears fell silently. I reached her finally. I wiped her cheek. I love you, I whispered. But love without respect becomes pain. I placed the document back into the tube, and I handed it to the delivery man. Return it to the sender, I said. He nodded and left. My daughter gasped softly. Her shoulders shook. Her makeup began to smudge. The guests sat in stunned silence. I squeezed her hand. This is not punishment, I said. This is a reminder. She nodded weakly. The music resumed softly. The ceremony continued. She walked the rest of the aisle slowly. She didn't smile as brightly. She didn't pose proudly. She held her head lower. She understood the message. Respect matters more than luxury. People matter more than appearances. And gratitude matters more than gifts. When she reached the altar, she paused. She turned to look back at me. Her eyes glistened with understanding. She mouthed, "I'm sorry." I nodded softly. The ceremony finally began. The guests relaxed again. The priest spoke. The groom held her hand gently. She looked humbled. The lesson settled into her heart. And I felt peace. Not because I took something away, but because she learned something priceless. The wedding continued beautifully, but nothing was ever the same again. The ceremony ended with quiet grace. Guests slowly began to approach me. Many whispered, "You did the right thing." Some nodded with respect. Others simply smiled knowingly. I kept my posture calm. I wasn't proud of what happened, but I felt it was necessary. My daughter approached me after the vows. Her eyes were red from crying. She hugged me tightly, tighter than she had in years. "Mom, I'm truly sorry," she whispered. Her voice trembled with sincerity. I stroked her hair gently. "I know," I replied softly, "and I'm not angry." Her shoulders relaxed slightly. "I just needed you to understand," I said. "People matter more than themes." She nodded repeatedly. "I forgot that," she admitted. "I let the wedding get to my head." The groom approached us quietly. He placed a supportive hand on her back. "We'll make things right," he said. His voice was steady and sincere. I appreciated his calmness. I appreciated his maturity. My daughter looked at me again. "Mom, can we talk later?" "Of course," I smiled. The photographers resumed their work. The music picked up again. Guests danced and laughed. The tension slowly dissolved. My daughter held onto my hand for a moment. She didn't want to let go. I felt the warmth of her love again. Not the love wrapped in luxury. Not the love dressed in designer gowns. But the real love beneath it all. I kissed her forehead. "Enjoy your day," I whispered. She nodded with a small, shy smile. She walked back to the center of the hall, but she kept looking back at me, as if making sure I was still there, as if realizing my worth again. I took a deep breath of relief. The weight on my chest finally lifted. Respect had been restored. And understanding had returned. Later that evening, she hugged my old friends. She apologized to them sincerely. They forgave her with warm hearts. And I watched with tears of joy. Because sometimes love needs a reminder. And sometimes a lesson becomes a blessing. That day, we gained something far more valuable than luxury.